All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
What up, party people? Welcome. We are here. Yes, thank you. I'm humbled by your... Oh, thank you. Delayed applause is still applause, so thank you. I am excited to have everybody in the stream as we ramp up for this Wednesday. It was an eventful night last night. There was a huge debate, as you're well aware, for an important Senate seat in Pennsylvania involving Fetterman and Oz. They went at it. One guy is, let's face it, he's made a name for himself on television and has become this media personality. He's fluid. He's completely adept at handling even tough questions, at diverting tough questions, and he was that way last night. The other guy is someone who's just suffered a major stroke, and this working class candidate that is with a great working class appeal was hobbled by that stroke and almost with an inability to express himself at times. We'll show you some clips, share some of that with you, and Jim Avila from ABC, the former ABC News correspondent, senior correspondent there, and White House correspondent will join us in a few minutes, and we'll dissect a bit of what happened with that critical debate. And I have some thoughts about the debate that have to do with the way it's covered, and they're important, though, I think, relative to the way the voting will go down. So I'll share those with you and Jim in just a minute. So glad you could be here. We got the full crew. Kim is here.
Kim, how are you?
Kim is sporting a different... her home moves, as you know, day to day.
Yeah, day to day, we do.
Kind of a South Pacific place is where the home has landed today.
This is the island of Bora Bora, where listener Callie from Danville honeymooned, and she sent me her picture to the Mark Thompson Show at gmail.com and thought maybe I could use the photo. And so I said, Bora Bora, we're going. And here it is.
We're going. And here's the thing about, if you're just listening, it's a kind of placid, greenish blue waters with the coastal hills in the background. It's very exotic. It's very Bora Bora, you know. That's
Bora Bora. Yeah, they honeymooned in Bora Bora, Allie and her husband. Had a great time and good memories. So here's the photo.
Oh, there it is. If you're just listening, I've described it, many people listen instead of actually watching.
Now, currently I'm in this hut on the end here. You can see the grass thatched roof. This is where I broadcast from today.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's really great. Well,
Kim, how are you?
Very impressive. And fabulous producer John Daly is also in the mix today.
It's never easy in this business.
It's not easy, John. Everyone I've worked with made me better. I could not find that drop if my life depended on it.
Kim, your satellite internet is great.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's right. You joined by satellite, right? That is exciting. Yeah.
Bring me another Mai Tai.
I've told you, it's never easy being in this business.
Well, oddly, it is easy today for Kim. So Kim will update all things news-related bottom of the hour. I'll also mention, in addition to Jim Avila and discussing the Fetterman debate, which we'll do in just a moment, we have Jeremy B. White from California's Politico California Playbook. We'll talk all things California. One of the things is related to Gavin Newsom, our governor, and how he is talking about a windfall oil tax. You know, the oil companies have made a boatload of money, even as supposedly there's this problem in supply, too much demand, not enough supply, price goes up. Tremendous profits. And it's making some wonder if there isn't some fat in the system and some windfall profits. Now, how you determine what are windfall profits, how you actually apply a tax like that, that's another question. And whether or not it's just lip service, which is what I think it is, we'll talk to Jeremy B. White about that, bottom of the hour. And in the second hour, in the 11 o'clock hour, Joe Ferullo makes his appearance here. Joe writes on media and politics for The Hill. He's a former television executive, and he's just coming back from Judge Judy's 80th birthday party. Yeah. So I'm hoping that Joe can give us a couple of nuggets from Judge Judy's birthday party, like who was there. There are other luminaries of one sort or another.
Listen to me. I don't want to hear you.
that will be at Judge Judy's 80th birthday party. So, yeah, luminaries is a ding word. By the way, the last thing I'll say is that I was asked last night by someone who didn't listen to the KGO show, didn't listen to our show on the radio, but has been watching the stream and really likes the show. And he asked me, he said, what is this ding word thing you do? He said, I like it, but I can't figure out what words you're dinging and what words you're not. It's simple. The ding words are words that would likely appear on an SAT test, on any kind of vocabulary test at that level, generally SAT. So it's sort of the judging is a little bit, but generally speaking, we let you, even the audience, decide. And some of you have been really good, and they're very vigilant, and vigilancy would be a ding word. They're very vigilant listeners who will say, hey, you should have rallied the ding for this word or that word. So that's all the ding word is. So
Can we ding sponsorship?
Yes, I do want to recognize our amazing sponsor. He is the tax ninja. He knows the tax code so well, and he can be your advocate with any tax situation you might have with the government. His name is Steve Moskowitz. You'll meet him a little bit later this half hour or a little bit later this hour. And Steve can handle, as I say, any of your business needs, small business, larger business, regardless of the number of employees. And I might add, if you're an individual, Steve has done that for over 30 years. He's been the Bay Area tax attorney. So he stepped forward. He said, I want to support your show. And we're so grateful to him. And it allows us to have like a real solid, good sponsor. I don't have to take some
laser fund.
Yes, thank you. Erectile dysfunction thing.
Cars for kids.
Right, Cars for Kids. Steve is the thing between us and Cars for Kids spots running on this show. So please support our Steve Moskowitz. 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL, or MoskowitzLLP.com. So, yeah. Much to do. Let's get on to it. Yeah, come on.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I'm excited about talking to Jim Avila. Jim Avila, the former White House correspondent for ABC, former senior correspondent there. He has joined us now. Jim Avila, everybody. How about it? Yeah.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. This situation in Pennsylvania is a critical one. It's a critical Senate seat. Dr. Oz just got to Pennsylvania about an hour ago. He's a Jersey resident, but he talks a good game. In fact, that's sort of what his superpower is talking a good game and being comfortable on television. Excuse me. And in the debate situation, there's a premium on those skills, right? Fetterman, obviously, he had an across-the-fence way of speaking on the stump, but now he is labored in his speaking. It's really been tough to watch. Jim, I want to watch a setup piece about the debate, and then I want to get your reaction and breakdown on it, okay? Here's a bit of the coverage of the debate last night in Pennsylvania.
And let's also talk about the elephant in the room. I had a stroke. He's never let me forget that.
Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman started off the hour-long debate assuring voters he's still capable of doing the job of senator 5 months after having a stroke.
I might miss some words during this debate, mush 2 words together, but it knocked me down, but I'm going to keep coming back up.
While his GOP opponent, Dr. Mehmet Oz, went straight to attacking his opponent as soft on crime.
John Fetterman, during this crime wave, has been trying to get as many murderers convicted and sentenced to life in prison out of jail as possible.
He has no experience. He has never made any attempt to try to address crime during his entire career, except showing up for photo ops here in Philadelphia.
The two clashed on abortion.
I don't want the federal government involved with that at all. I want women, doctors, local political leaders, letting the democracy that's always allowed our nation to thrive, to put the best ideas forward so states can decide for themselves.
If you believe that the choice for abortion belongs between you and your doctor, that's what I fight for. Roe v. Wade, for me, should be the law. He celebrated when Roe v. Wade went down.
The abortion decision should be left up to states, and specifically when John John Fetterman.
You roll with Doug Mastriano.
John, when I'm done, John, you'll have your turn, John.
And things got heated when they were asked about families struggling with the high cost of college tuition.
Basically, what John Fetterman and Joe Biden are arguing for is for plumbers who didn't go to college and couldn't, for a bunch of reasons, afford it, to pay the bills of lawyers who went to graduate school and haven't paid their debt back.
Dr. Oz, loves free money when it's a $500,000 tax break on one of his, homes down in a ranch in Florida, and whether it was a $50 tax break, about his farm in Montgomery County. So
Fetterman's use of a closed captioning device during the debate, where he read questions in real time on a screen above the moderators, sparked debate on social media, with some observers seeing a strong performance amid recovery, while others cast him as unsteady.
I do support fracking, and I support fracking, and I stand and I do support fracking.
Fetterman would not say if he would release more of his medical records, but argued that he has been transparent.
I believe if my doctor believes that I'm fit to serve, and that's what I believe is appropriate.
All right. So there you have it. That's all you need to hear. And now I want to get to Jim Avila for a breakdown. You watched the entire thing. It was labored, I thought, and you don't even get a sense for how labored in that piece.
Yeah, look, I think that his advisors might be in danger of being sued for malpractice. He was not ready for this debate. His health was not good enough for this debate. His doctors do say that he can carry out the job, and I don't doubt that at all. But a debate where you have to think quickly on your feet and process quickly what you hear and then regurgitate your answer out, and also react when challenged. Fetterman just had a real difficult time with that, and he was not able to do what most debate people do when you saw Oz do it, stick to key talking points. He wasn't able to do that. I mean, every time that Oz brought something up, Fetterman should have ended his response with, "And that's how we do it in Pennsylvania, where you don't live." He should have gone in that over and over again. He should have jumped on when Dr. Oz said that he wanted abortion rights to be decided by women, by the doctors, and by local politicians. That kind of went by. It's been picked up, obviously, online afterwards, but during that debate, it was not picked up on. You have to give Fetterman points for courage and for his positions. But a debate this did not help him. It really did not help him.
Yeah, I would, the last, among the points you made, I'd simply focus on one, and this is important, I think, maybe in terms of outcomes. The number of people that watch a live debate, even a celebrated live debate like this, an anticipated live debate like this, is pretty small. What you're going to see is what we just showed you, which is the media cut up, the Good Morning America presentation or CBS This Morning or et cetera, various news reports. Even in the local news, I watched a lot of Pennsylvania news reports last night, and even those reports gave you the highlights. They gave you pieces of the debate, right? And the virtue for Fetterman in that approach is that you don't see the faltering to which Jim is referring. You end up seeing a guy who, even in that little piece the setup piece that we ran, he looked maybe faltering a bit, but he was also a bit combative. When you actually watched the debate itself, the faltering nature of his delivery really was more along the lines of what Jim is talking about, a guy who sort of couldn't find his moorings, a guy who was struggling to get his thoughts out. And it made you wonder, does he have the thoughts? Does he know what to say? And he's unable to express himself because of these, physical infirmities that he's run into, this stroke? Or does he not have the thoughts? And even someone who's rooting for Fetterman, like myself, thought, wow, this is This is really, really hard to watch. So, Jim, I think you make a good point. But again, I think it has to be underscored that in the media play, you only see highlights. So perhaps the fact that he was listing so badly may not be as relevant.
Well, a lot of it is in the spin, all over Twitter, all over the clips that you're talking about. Both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party are sending out their own clips. The Democrats sending out the clip about Oz saying that abortion should be decided by local politicians. The Fetterman campaign, the Oz campaign sending out clips of him faltering. The clips, yes, they're better than watching the whole thing, but that fracking answer has appeared in every clip that I've seen and in every news story that I've seen and in every headline talks about him floundering and faltering. That fracking answer showed the degree to which he is having trouble. Now, this is just one aspect. I mean, sure, debate is part of it, but on the Senate floor, there really is no debate. You give a speech and then you sit down. And I don't think he's going to participate in a lot of those. I think, what people are able to do is look past this and look at the policies that they're supporting in which way they vote. Would they vote for a Democrat or a Republican? Also, at stake is the control of the Senate. And, Democrats are going to look at that. But the problem is independents don't care about that as much. And Fetterman's appeal to independents has been strong. But I worry that for people on the fence, watching last night's debate or the clips are going to hurt him. The other thing he should have said over and over again, to Oz was, or what he should have said when he faltered, and he should have maybe had these written down even, is to say, look, I'm having trouble with the communication. I had a stroke. In 6 months, I'm going to be much better. In 6 months, you're still going to be a snake oil salesman. You're still going to be Dr. Oz.
That would have been a great play. Great play. Yeah.
And he said that kind of stuff on Twitter before because it is scripted beforehand and he has help from his advisors.
And he'll have help from staffers if he gets to the Senate. Yeah, the Senate staff it surrounds these guys to the point that, look, half of them are sleepwalking when they get to the floor of the Senate. I mean, I'm sorry, that's just a fact.
You ever heard Grassley talk, Senator Grassley?
Thank you.
From Iowa? He can't put a tweet together with it making any sense. So yes, there's a lot of Leahy, who is now in the hospital, those guys have trouble nowadays talking. There are a lot of old white men in the Senate. It's a shame because Fetterman, as you alluded to, was sort of is a pro-labor, Eastern Pennsylvania type of guy, Western Pennsylvania type of guy, who has tattoos and rarely wears a suit, as you could tell last night from what he was wearing. He connects with middle class people and lower income people. And it's unfortunate that this stroke happened because he's having trouble connecting with them.
That's such a good point. You're seeing a couple of comments along the way here. We put them in the lower part of the screen so you can see what people are saying. But a couple of people are saying, hey, as a stroke victim myself, I can tell you recover. Your mind is still sharp. The connection between your mind and your mouth is something that has to grow back into place, if you will. I had a stroke in 2010. It seems my mouth and brain didn't coordinate well, but my mental ability wasn't affected, says Perry Joe. Yeah.
And there's been a lot of pushback from the disabled community about the criticism in the media and in the Oz campaign about how they've been treating John Fetterman. And I agree with that, that it's not fair to hold him to this standard of Dr. Oz, who's a TV personality, when he has had a disability because of a stroke. But you also have to live in reality. And reality is when the general public sees a performance like that, it raises doubt. I don't think it's going to cause many people, Democrats especially, to change over and vote for a Republican, or even a lot of independents to change their vote. My concern, or what a concern for the Democratic Party ought to be, is that it will drain enthusiasm, that there will be fewer people who will show up at all to vote. And what the Democrats really need is a big outpouring of enthusiasm, which they've got. And I'm not convinced he's going to lose, because I really think overall, and this is a difference between you and me, Mark, is I'm an optimist, is that the abortion Roe versus Wade is even though people poll and say that it's the economy, women have registered across this country 3 times more than males. And they are stoked for this election. And I think we're going to see, and mail-in voting right now is incredibly high in Georgia and in other places across the country. I think there's going to be a lot of surprises, and that the polls are not accurate and are not gauging the enthusiasm among women, and that they're missing that.
Well, I hope you're right. I think that the GOP, as it's configured now, and these candidates represent a real threat to the essence of this country, which is the separation of church and state. It's the evaporation of Roe sort of overnight by the Supreme Court, that was, in my judgment, rigged in terms of numbers. I would suggest there's a real problem with GOP dominance right now. I mean, GOP, if you're watching, get your act together. I think you can make that party better than it is, and we could have real policy discussions. But right now, I don't know what it is. It's its own brand of crazy. These are my opinions, not those of Jim Avila. But I would say that it'll be interesting. I don't feel as though Roe necessarily rallied the electorate the way you're suggesting it did, but you may be right, and you're right. I'm a pessimist, and I'd suggest I'm a realist. I lean pessimist. It's true.
But how do you explain, Mark, the huge
registration
improvement? How do you explain the huge improvement in female registration? That it is way high, and the enthusiasm there, I think, while it was highest in the summer and has left media attention, it's only left media attention. I think in most women who are about 55 to 60% of the voting public, there is an incredible amount of enthusiasm. We'll see. I mean, we only have a couple weeks left.
I really hope you're right, and I hope you'll join us again as we, as the midterms draw closer, and even when the midterm vote is in. I hope you'll join us again. Jim Avila, always cool to see you, man. Thanks.
Good to see you.
Jim Avila, everybody, come on. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, Jim Avila.
Jim Avila.
Yeah.
Well.
He's so cute.
Yeah.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Want to welcome in Steve Moskowitz, who is also his own brand of cute. He is the original exclusive sponsor of the show. We embrace him in every way you can. The ninja tax attorney and specialist. Steve, we talk about ERC. I love that we talk about it because it's money for business owners of any size. I feel as though that's the thing that's maybe lost in all of this. You can be the smallest business and still be available, and available to you is still government money, right?
Mark, you could have your own corporation. You're the only employee, and as long as you get a W-2 from the business, that one person would qualify. And it's the same rules for one person up to 500. If you have more than 500, I'll tell you what the rules are, but most of your listeners are under 500 employees. And the government, it depends. Some people are getting millions. Some people are getting small amounts. Some people are getting hundreds of thousands. Some people aren't even entitled to this, and that's where we have to watch out. There's the two extremes. How do you qualify? And you can get up to $26,000 per person. Two ways, and the law clearly says either or. One way is really easy, a certain drop in gross revenue. It's a number. You're either there or you're not. Nothing to think about. But a lot of firms, a lot of CPAs are stopping there and saying, well, if your gross revenue didn't go down enough, that's it. No ERC for you. Wrong. The other way is a lot more complex. We have to sit down with the client, work on it, do all kinds of stuff to see if you qualify. Some people do, some people don't, but a lot of people do. If you don't qualify, we'll tell you, sorry, you don't qualify, and here's why. You'll know why. If you do qualify, we'll tell you, here's why you qualify, and let's get every dollar to which you're legally entitled. But watch out. There's been a tremendous amount of fraud with these programs, and the IRS is going after that. There's some companies, they've just popped up literally just to do the ERC, nothing else, never existed before. And when they're done, they're just going to disappear. And when the IRS has a few questions to ask you, the guy that did this for you is going to be long gone. Obviously, nobody wants to commit a tax fraud. Clearly, you don't want to do that. But, a lot of people don't know, and these companies are just saying, here, do this, do that. You don't want that extreme either. Mark, you know us. We're a law firm. We go ahead. We do all this tax work. We've been practicing tax law for over 30 years. We're here for you, and we'll keep you away from both extremes. The one extreme that says you're not qualified when you are qualified. The other extreme that says everybody's qualified and you're not. You don't want to get in trouble, but if you're entitled to this money, let's get it. And for some people, it can be very substantial.
Yeah, I mean, when you deal with the government, and mistakes can be made, and I'm about to tell everybody about a mistake that was made on this show. I mean, not by us, by the YouTube overlords. And mistakes are made, and you need someone and an organization to represent you with credibility, and that's what Steve Moskowitz has with 30 years experience as the Bay Area's favorite tax attorney, and he can handle anybody anywhere in America. So if you don't live in the Bay Area, Steve Moskowitz is still a great person to check with. You can do it at 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAXDEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL, or reach Steve online, MoskowitzLLP.com. Many of you have come through with questions for Steve. That's why we give you the number, so you can call Steve, 888-TAX-DEAL, to speak with Steve Moskowitz. Steve, love having you on the show, and thank you for being such a great supporter. Okay, Steve Moskowitz, everybody. Yeah, right on.
Hey, which one do you use, Mark Thompson?
Use Mark Thompson.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I just was looking at the fact that Klay Thompson from the Warriors, he was thrown out of the game last night. First time ever for him. Klay Thompson is not a guy who gets thrown out of many games. But if you're a Hoops fan, his first career ejection through 759 regular season and playoff games, he was jawing. He got consecutive technical fouls in the third quarter, and he was excused from the premises.
Good day, sir.
Yes. As he started to walk away from Mikal Bridges, Bridges walked into him. Thompson shoved him away. Shortly after, was slapped with his second technical, leading to his ejection. He had to be held back by teammate Steph Curry and Warriors assistant coach Chris DeMarco. A total of 7 technical fouls assessed in the third quarter between the two teams. So a lot of...
Mark, have you ever been ejected from a game?
I have not been ejected from a game, but it's funny that you mention ejection because it brings me to my next point. First of all, I haven't said this since we've come on the air today, but I need everybody to hit the thumbs up.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Smash the like button.
That when they came up, when they had that collision, some smack talk was uttered. And I don't know what the other guy said, but Klay probably was, said the other guy said something to him and he reacted. It's not his fault. I don't blame my Warriors. No.
Yeah. Mm-mm. Yeah. The Warriors can do no wrong, but I would say that I've not been ejected from a game, John, but I have smack talk. So when Kim talks about talking smack, I feel like I can. In fact, I just talked smack the other day when I was a lady needed directions and she pulled into the street. So she is blocking the street, and she was a elderly lady, and she was clearly a rent-a-car situation, and she wanted directions to the freeway. And I said, come over here, and I waved her over, but she was kind of clearly not adept at operating the vehicle, and it was kind of still the back end was sticking on. And the guy behind her is in a cab, and he's leaning on the horn. And that instantly made, but leaning, one thing to go beep, beep, I'm here, maybe you didn't see me, but it's nothing to lean on the horn. So I lost it. I said, what, and then I start in, and then he starts in, right? And I sized the guy up. I thought, well, he doesn't seem like the guy who's going to get out of the cab and take me on. So believe me, I was clear ahead of time.
Pull out a gun.
Yes, I was concerned about gun as well. But But then he let an F-bomb fly, and then I let a bunch of F-bombs fly. Bombs fly. Yes, I'm sorry, Kim. It was ugly. It was an ugly, ugly incident. And I know you don't think of me that way, but it does happen. Yes.
I don't. My opinion is changing as we speak.
Yeah. Anyway,
so
but
you were swearing in front of that poor old lady?
I was.
Her eyes were wide with fear.
I was swearing on behalf of the poor old lady, and still
like a sailor.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, that was so. I think there was a lot of smack talking in the Klay Thompson ejection as well. I do want you to smash the like button. I want you to tell us.
Iron rod.
I want you to tell your friends about the show. We want to grow the audience so that they can subscribe. We need your subscriptions. That helps us in the logarithms. You may say, Mark, I'm kind of a loner. I don't have friends. You need to go out and you need to make friends for this show to grow, okay? So everybody's got a responsibility. You have to do yours. I will acknowledge so many of you have been so generous in making donations to kind of keep us afloat. I'll do that after Kim's news. We have still much to do. Jeremy B. White from California's Politico, California Playbook, which you can find in the Politico website, or you can just Google it, the California Playbook, and you'll find it's a great clearinghouse for a lot going on in California. I'll talk windfall taxes on oil companies, which Gavin Newsom is saying he wants. But I'll also talk with him about some of the other things going on in California. The LA mayoral race is pretty crazy as well. This is a time when there are a lot of key elections going down, and that's one of them. So we'll get to all of that. So great to have you with us. Mark Thompson Show for this Wednesday. Thank you for being here. And Kim's news is next.
The Mark Thompson Show.
And Kim is muted.
It only works if I unmute myself.
Oh, there you go.
That's not going to work. Yes. On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. President Biden is promising his administration is taking action to put more money in the pockets of American families. Speaking at the White House, the president said they are going to eliminate junk fees like overdraft penalties from banks, hidden hotel costs, and extremely high credit card late fees. The president said surprise overdraft fees from banks are illegal, and his administration will be cracking down on those going forward. The president said the actions his administration is taking will save American consumers more than $1 billion a year. The midterm elections just 13 days away, and 3 key debates are in the books. Of course, we talked about the Pennsylvania debate between Democrat John Fetterman and Republican Mehmet Oz. They clashed over key issues, Fetterman's health at the forefront of this very close race. New York Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul and Republican Congressman Lee Zeldin are battling in the race for governor, with Hochul leading in most polls. And incumbent Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer and Republican Tudor Dixon debated in a race that has also tightened in the polls. Florida's governor has to turn over records related to migrant flights to Massachusetts. A judge ruled yesterday that Republican Ron DeSantis must comply with the request by the Florida Center for Government Accountability. DeSantis was given 20 days to submit records, including those that include personal devices like cell phones. The FCGA ruling shows the governor is not immune from being held accountable. The biggest utility here in California facing a fine of $155 million. State regulators want PG&E to pay that for a deadly fire in Shasta County 2 years ago. They claim the tree that sparked the fire was one of 2 marked for removal in 2018, but was never cut down. The company has already been charged by prosecutors and maintains it did nothing wrong. A Los Angeles Council committee moving forward with censure motions against 2 embattled members. The ad hoc censure committee voting 5-0 today to move those motions before the full city council. They're targeting members Gil Cedillo and Kevin De Leon. Both refused to resign after being caught making racist remarks to a leaked audio tape. And those 2 men accused of cheating during an Ohio fishing tournament, they're pleading not guilty. Jacob Runyon and Chase Kaminsky entered their pleas this morning to charges of cheating, attempted grand theft, possessing criminal tools, and unlawful ownership of wild animals.
Cheating is a legal thing. You can
apparently give me charges
of cheating.
Cheater! Yes, I charge you.
What?
Cheater! They allegedly put weights inside their catch during the.
Well, there's video of it, so I've got to think that they might have a thin case. But all right.
And allegedly gets a ding.
Oh, allegedly. Thank you very much.
Yes. This happened in Cleveland last month. They could face up to 12 months in prison and $2,500 in fines. And by the way, now the fishing competitions are using metal detectors to find any weight.
Damn right. Yeah.
Although you could, you put sand or other fish parts or anything could be an extra weight, right?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, there has to be. Honestly, there has to be processes, protocols, and standards to to make certain that that's not an issue.
Don't forget the mercury in the fish.
Yeah,
we have processes and protocols and standards.
I don't think the mercury weighs anything.
You don't think so?
Is that one of the defendants?
No, this is an actor known for his roles in the X-Files and Smallville. I'm glad that you know who he is. He's dead. Michael Kopsa died on Sunday from a brain tumor. His ex-wife making the announcement on Twitter. Kopsa had roles on series like Highlander, The Outlaw Years. He would later go on to have voice roles on shows like Dragon Ball Z and X-Men Evolution. Michael Kopsa was 66 years old. And this report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your taxes, give Steve a call, 888-TAX-DEAL, or you can catch him on the web at moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
Do you feel it? It's The Mark Thompson Show.
This is Mark Thompson.
Feels great, baby.
It's unbelievably offensive.
Ralph Nader just sent me a book. Did he send you one too?
What he's got going here is a situation.
Put up your pants, my man! Pull up those pants!
You cannot say you love your country.
Let me kick down the door and talk to my stupid sons and daughters.
Don't make us beg. Subscribe, like, and share. The Mark Thompson Show.
Why are you yelling? Why are you yelling?
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal.
What's a guilty
It's
pleasure?
fantastic. Where are my weed smokers at?
Glad that you could all join us on this Wednesday, Mark Thompson Show. I'm Mark at the whole crew. Kim and John and Tony is our miraculous technical guy. Tony does so much stuff on this show, so thank you.
Tony, what angered you?
What angered you, Tony? Thank you for being here. Now, I've got Jeremy waiting. Do you want to do the thank yous now, John?
Just really
Tell
quickly.
me. Okay, quickly. Will you help me to thank Gail Guthrie? Come on, 1999. Thank you, Gail.
Thank you, Gail.
Thank you, Andrew, and the super sticker from Andrew. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you so much. It was a sad emoji face.
Oh, it was? Okay, thank you. Richard Bennett toward the camera for John and Kim.
Thank you so much.
Hey, we know who the star of the show is, okay? We're just wanting to highlight Mr. Thompson.
Yeah, well, but eventually we will have enough for everybody to get a piece of it. So thank you for those contributions. You can always super chat us. If you super chat us, we will get to your chat 100% of the time because we feel you've been that big a supporter with the super chat. We'll definitely
100% effective. How about that?
We will get to it. So I've got the guy waiting who's so good to give us a few minutes every week. He joins us on Wednesdays, the author of the California Playbook, which is Politico's great clearinghouse for everything California, politics and beyond. He's Jeremy B. White, everybody. Hi, Jeremy B. White. And Jeremy is...
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Hey.
Jeremy, this is your Super Bowl season with so much going on, and you may sort of have to Sherpa us through some of what's going on in California in terms of critical races that might be overlooked. I can hit on a couple of high-profile ones. Before I get to that, though, you had something in the Playbook that I really enjoyed. That's just today. And I was mentioning before, you can get the California Playbook from Politico. Just Google it and, subscribe. It'll hit your inbox, and you can get, regular reports on what's going on. But it was about the windfall profit tax that Newsom talks about potentially levying or being a champion of levying on oil companies. Now, it's felt to me like lip service, and you sort of hint at that in the Playbook as well.
We're still waiting for details of what this windfall oil profits tax is going to look like. The governor has been calling for it for a while now. He wants the legislature to come back in December to tackle it. But my conversations in the legislature have basically boiled down to, let's see what it looks like. This is a fairly untested idea. It's something that has sort of caught on somewhat in Europe, but it's pretty early to know the returns. There are a lot of questions about how it would be structured, how it would return money to people, whether people would see significant financial relief, and above all that, whether the votes are there in the legislature to do this. A 2/3 vote is never an easy task, especially when you have a brand new legislature in place. So I think there are a lot of questions still about the governor's proposal here.
Well, that's why it felt like it might be virtue signaling on the part of Newsom. It just seemed as though, as you say, short or no details, short on details or really no details. And then, as you say, how would it be configured and legislatively? How do you expect to get it through? So you have to build coalitions that may not be there. So, yeah, it felt like a bit of Newsom virtue signaling. It's not beyond him to do that, right?
I think the timing here is interesting. The governor has been out there hammering this and calling for an effort to rein in oil companies at the height of campaign season, when high gas prices are obviously a huge issue for voters. But lawmakers aren't going to come back and vote on it until after the election, which means that some of those members in tough races are not going to have to go be asked to vote on a new tax, even if the governor is presenting it as a tax that benefits people when it comes to gas prices. So, to a certain extent, he's out there showing like Democrats care and we're taking on these oil companies. We're not going to see results until after the election. And I think also, depending where gas prices are in December and also how Democrats do in this election, that's going to affect how this plays out.
The last thing, and then I will move on. What I liked in the Playbook is that you detailed the amount of money. It's sort of, in this time of scarcity when it comes to the oil supply, to see $2.8 billion profit for stockholders in Valero Corporation alone. That's just, one oil company. You kind of detail the profits of 500% higher than the same period last year. And, this is at a time when you're paying so much at the pump. There seems to be, with record profits or, insanely high profits, they're allowed to make a profit, but you just wonder how the arithmetic is all getting squared, which is why the Newsom, I would call it virtue signaling, or Lee could just say opening of the discussion about this seems so right on. I want to get to the mayoral election in Los Angeles. That's a wild one. Yeah, this maybe you can bring us all up to speed, but let me just offer this. This guy, Caruso, who is running against Bass in Los Angeles. She's the Democrat, he's the Republican. He's a super wealthy guy, right? And he wasn't even really on the map. His recognition was pretty low when this whole thing began. Well, he's carpet bombed the air media with spots, with commercials, and now he is running neck and neck with Bass for being the next mayor of L.A.
I should point out that Rick Caruso is in fact a Democrat, although that's a fairly recent development. He was no party preference, and before that he was a Republican. Which is something that obviously has created some suspicion of him. But, this is a fraught moment for LA. All the polling shows folks are frustrated and concerned about homelessness, crime, and of course some of the corruption scandals we've seen have created even more disillusionment. And so I think Karen Bass, longtime Democratic representative, she has the endorsements of Democrats from President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris on down, has been seen as sort of the prohibitive favorite for a long time. But Rick Caruso has spent a lot of money. He's fairly wealthy, and he's spending tens of millions of dollars to put out a message which is essentially, the establishment has failed. Why go with the status quo when you could go with an outsider? Now, it's not as if he has been a total outsider. He's somebody who's very much been sort of involved in the civic life of LA and the economic life for sure. But I think the main factors here are really whether his money, putting that message in front of voters of the establishment has failed you, is going to be enough to get sort of voters feeling that malaise to try something different.
I mean, Jeremy, it's true that kind of I'm not like them, I'm going to come in and really make a difference in this city attitude has carried races before without a lot of specific solutions.
That's right. And, I think that, again, this is just an election that's happening at a tumultuous time in Los Angeles. You have the former mayor, Antonio Villaraigosa, saying he's never seen the city so sort of adrift and uncertain of its direction. And so, of course, if you listen to Karen Bass and her supporters, they'll say, here's somebody who deeply understands this city and has the capacity and the experience to do something about it. The message from Caruso and co. is, the people you've been electing have failed you, essentially. So why go with another elected official?
I can't argue with the people you've elected have failed you. It's a very tough argument to knock down. That said, I'd suggest it's not the people always that fail us. It's the system that fails us, but that may be for another time. And that can also feed the argument, well, I'm not from the system and I'm ready to shake up the system thing. I want to ask you quickly in our last minute or two, talking to Jeremy B. White from California's Politico, California Playbook. Jeremy, there are races in California outside the big cities that are key, right? I mean, there are congressional seats. The state's been redrawn. Where should we keep an eye to see what's going to happen for this midterm election in California?
Wow, how much time do you have?
Right,
yes, to your point, some of the most contested House races and state legislature races, for that matter, are in more populous places like LA County and Orange County, but we're also seeing some fiercely contested races in those big Central Valley districts in the sort of agricultural heartland of the state. And I think this is a year in which you could see quite a few seats change hands. There are some open seats as well in which Democrats and Republicans are vying for essentially a newly drawn seat. And so there have been millions and millions of dollars spent already to swing this. And it's partially because while Democrats in the state legislature are going to maintain that 2/3 supermajority, it's really a question of how big it is. In the House, it's obviously a fierce battle for control of the House of Representatives. And there's maybe 8 races in California that are legitimately contested, and that will help determine who.
Just to be clear, you dropped out a little bit. There are eight seats that are going to be legitimately contested, is what you were saying, isn't it?
I think that's right. I would have to count in my head, but certainly.
Something on the order of 8. Yeah. Okay, right. But I mean, but it's that's a significant number. I mean, that's not nothing. I think timing is so much a part of things in California.
Democratic as California is.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
Absolutely.
The political consistency of the state. Yeah. Love that you spent a couple of minutes with us. Thank you so much. You can find Politico's California Playbook. You can find it on the Politico website, but you can also just Google it. I mean, just Google California Playbook. Jeremy B. White. You can find him also on Twitter as well. As I say, you're so lovely to spend time with us every week. Thank you. Jeremy B. White, everybody.
Pleasure, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. Yep. All right.
I want to apologize to Chris's mother.
Yeah, I don't know about Chris's mother, but I would definitely. A Halloween vibe. I love that. This is the Mark Thompson Show. Thank you for joining us. Smash with your.
Smashed it. with your iron rod.
The thumbs up. So YouTube, what they do is they look at how many views you have, how many, what kind of engagement you have, which is like how long people watch your. I'm learning all of this. I didn't know any of this stuff before. And then they look at the number of likes you have relative to the number of viewers that you have. So there's all of these. Nobody likes her. They have those. That kind
Nobody
of.
likes her.
Yeah, the kind of metrics that I don't really understand, but I do begin to understand now some of what's important. And so that's why I mentioned certain things like the like button. That's why I mentioned certain things like subscribing. These are all things that help us in the YouTube universe. So let me tell you something else that happened. So something else we're dealing with is trademark and copyright infringement. And it's copyright infringement primarily when it comes to music, right? And we've I mentioned to you that this guy, Eric, who I'm going to give a little more love to in the days to come, connected us after our issues with music, because you can't play any music, right, that you don't have clearance for, the copyright clearance for. And maybe that's the way it should be. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I mean, artists who create music deserve money. So there's that. So early on, as we were just finding our way with little clips of music, just a few seconds, we didn't think there'd be any issue, but there was. So this guy, Eric, and again, I'm going to show him more love and his company more love, and it's really a great resource for a lot of you. He contacted me right away. He said, hey, we have a music library. You can use all of our music. So that was really cool. We started using his music. What's that?
That's really nice of him.
Oh, extraordinary guy. Really, really cool. And the site he has is so absolutely awesome. And again, I'm going to do a whole thing on it a little bit later. Right now, I don't have time. But that was one thing, okay? So we're dodging the music thing primarily is the big deal, and it makes you wonder. I told you about the third episode where they took down our entire episode because they claimed we said something that we didn't. We didn't say it anything even close to that. So this artificial intelligence is listening to the show, if you want to call it that, and it's deciding whether or not you're saying certain things or doing certain things or playing certain pieces of media that need to be flagged within the YouTube universe. And it's, as I say, I don't have a problem with stuff being flagged and things being protected, but I do have a problem with being accused of stuff that we didn't do. And so that was our issue. And that show, the third show, came down. It was contested, and they stood by their decision, which is insane since we didn't violate anything. But let me tell you the latest. The latest is that we showed you a clip yesterday, and the clip was it wasn't Pee-wee football. It might have been high school football. It was
the
young.
mascot one?
Yeah, the mascot thing. And where the mascot, as the kid is about to go into the end zone, the mascot's there, and he jams the kid out of bounds. And it turns into this big fight between this guy, this mascot, he's wearing the whole mascot outfit, and the rest of the team. It was funny. The whole clip may be 12 seconds long. So we get flagged by YouTube.
Not again.
By the NFL.
Oh.
Now, the NFL doesn't flag us. You understand that? It's YouTube on behalf of the NFL. So artificial intelligence.
An NFL game.
Again.
It was a high school game.
Thank you. That's exactly the point. And artificial intelligence can't tell the difference. It doesn't know NFL or whatever. It just looks at helmets. And John thinks it looks at like maybe hash marks on the, or whatever, the way the field might come across to artificial intelligence might be the same thing. So AI decides that we're in violation of NFL copyright. So John, contests it, of course. Mm-hmm. And of course they do relieve it. They release it. So it was a
fabulous producer, John Daly.
Yeah, nice job by John.
But before that, the money went into escrow.
Yeah, so whatever we got on that from YouTube, it immediately goes into escrow, so you have no access to the funds. So it's a tricky world, this YouTube world. So when I repeat to you, hit the like button, you have to hit it for every episode because every episode is being evaluated in this weird way. So there's all of that.
Who do you think the AI is voting for?
YouTube.
The AI is so... and let me make a bigger point about AI. And this is really important. The future of AI is right now. We're living the future of AI. And oftentimes the advantages to artificial intelligence are spoken of in lavish ways, right? It's going to revolutionize the way the law is done because AI and computers can take in all of that material from law books and they can research in an instant things that might take a staff of lawyers, of high-paid lawyers, months to research. Similarly with medicine, and this is something that's really important. When you go for a diagnosis or when you have a symptomology that needs to be examined by your physician, and in the years to come, AI takes over that examination. Well, AI is way imperfect. I've just given you a handful of examples from our show. Our show's only been on the air for not even 2 weeks, and we're already into AI making mistakes. So the notion of AI making a mistake with your medical history or with your situation legally, I think that's alarming. And you see it being used in law enforcement. You see it being used in other areas of life where it could really do damage.
Yeah, wait until it throws you in jail.
Thank you. I mean,
RoboCop.
That's no joke. Yeah, RoboCop is here.
That's not fake.
That's not fake. That's real. What do I have to do here, John Daly? I've lost track of where I am.
That's a first for the Mark Thompson show.
I could say
Fabulous
that.
producer,
I could
John
say
Daly.
that pretty much any time.
We have a PSA that you can
this
read.
is thank you. Yeah,
Sent
I want
by
to.
Cindy.
Yeah, Cindy, thank you. I don't have a
It's at
Cindy,
10:20.
thank you. So I have a just a
Thank you so much.
thank you so much, or a Tony, thank you. Do you want that, Cindy? I'll give you a Tony, thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah. This is the Alzheimer's Association of San Francisco. It's San Francisco's Alzheimer's Association Walk. It'll be November 5th at Pier 27, 8 to noon. The walk starts at 1. How can the walk start at 1 if it's from 8 to noon, John?
Maybe the party. They have a rally and a party.
Fabulous
beforehand.
producer, John Daly.
I didn't write this. So.
Oh, my God.
Whoever is producing this
I
thing
cannot believe
has
you
no
said
idea
that.
what they're doing.
Do you want me to fact check it? I could
only
ask
'cause
the artificial intelligence.
Only because it makes no sense. It makes no sense. So the thing is from 8 to noon, and it says walk starts at 1.
It's the party from 8 to noon. It's the
Okay,
rally
well,
and the party
Why are you
and the
yelling?
celebration.
All right. Anyway, and they don't even have a website here for people
Yeah,
to
that
find
is
out
wrong.
more.
Registration at 9 a.m., ceremony at 10 a.m., walk at 10:30.
Oh.
Fabulous producer, John Daly.
Very nicely done, John. Very well recovered. All right, so registration's at 9 a.m. at Pier 27 in San Francisco, November 5th. You can go to, you can go to alz.org/walk to register and or donate. ALZ for Alzheimer's, alz.org/walk. Thanks to Cindy, who volunteers for the Alzheimer's Walk and does Alzheimer's advocacy. She lost her mom to Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is such a brutal disease.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That was our
Really,
first
really rough.
PSA, though, on the Mark Thompson show in
Yes,
this
it
iteration.
was.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Hey, we're serving in the public interest.
Yeah.
At least
That was great. I loved it.
Okay, well, that's really cool.
It's a crazy bet.
I love it. That's what we do. All right. We'll take a break for Kim's News, and then Joe Ferullo in the next hour. He did just return from Judge Judy's 80th birthday party. We'll talk to him about that, but as you know, he's really our media and politics guy, so I'll ask him about the midterm coverage. We can even touch on the Fetterman thing. There's a huge race in Nevada and Arizona. It's Carrie Lake, who was a Democrat, who's now become a MAGA Republican and is sort of the darling of the Republican Party. All the ways the media is spinning. We'll get into much of that with Joe as we continue. It's the Mark Thompson Show. Thank you for being here. Please smash the like. Stay with us. Much show to come as we continue. Right on.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888-TAX-DEAL. I'm going to throw a tease into the news because I'm messing around with the video that we can do now, and so I've got a really cool picture of a shark coming up. You're not going to want to miss that.
Oh, okay.
I know. It's a news tease. You like it? Big oil is ripping off Californians. I don't like that. Hiking gas prices and making record profits. Those words from Governor Gavin Newsom as he begins a price gouging penalty on oil companies. He says it will put money back in the pockets of drivers across the state. The move coming as Valero released its profit report showing it made nearly $3 billion from July to September. Oh, Valero. It's a jump of more than 500% from last year. Pennsylvania House Republicans looking to impeach embattled Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner. Republicans say they will file impeachment articles against the Democrat today as crime surges in that city. Krasner hasn't been accused of any specific crime, but lawmakers claim his progressive policies have fueled crime rates, and political insiders say an impeachment is a long shot there, given the fact that Krasner is not being accused of a crime. Federal judge denying a request by the defense of an accused Pennsylvania synagogue shooter to do an anonymous survey of the religious affiliation of potential jurors. Robert Bowers is accused of killing 11 people at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh's Squirrel Hill, October 27th of 2018. He is expected to face a potential death penalty at trial in April. The shooting, the deadliest anti-Semitic attack in U.S. history. Millions of people across California can take more action to prepare for the next big quake. The state is now offering grants of up to $3,000 to retrofit homes. This is all part of the Earthquake Brace and Bolt program created in 2014. Officials just expanded it to include 126 more areas. That means the owners in 521 high-risk zip codes can now apply for that money. The registration remains open through the end of the month. More people could soon be able to afford to live in San Francisco, too. New data shows home prices fell faster in August than any other city in the nation. It was down 4.3% from July. Experts cite climbing interest rates as one reason. They predict prices will continue to drop quickly. As of last month, the median list home price just over $1 million. Okay, maybe not that affordable, right? Apple is set to fully switch over to USB-C chargers from the Lightning cable for its future iPhones. This after the European Union voted to enforce a common charging standard for all smartphones starting in 2024. Speaking at a Wall Street Journal event yesterday, Apple's worldwide marketing chief said the company will obviously have to comply with the EU's ruling. They said Apple has no choice. And a Southern California shark making quite the splash on social media. And get the picture up there. See if I... Haha, there it is. Yes. This is the shark. Check out the picture. Here, they have a progression of photos. See if I can get them. It's kind of leaning. It's going to go back.
So it's a surfer surfing, and there's a shark jumping behind the surfer. It looks like maybe 10 feet away, maybe, or 12 feet. Maybe farther. I don't know.
It's on in a picture, they say most to see to believe. So there it is.
I think you call that a photo bomb.
He photobombed him. A photographer was snapping pictures of surfers during a competition near San Diego, but ended up capturing so much more. The shark seen jumping straight out of the water behind the surfer. The photographer says he thought it was a dolphin at first, but experts say no, that's a great white. It's about 7 years old. This great white shark just leaping out for his photobomb. Hello.
Seriously, what the
Just trying to say hi. This guy has no idea what's going on behind him. I think that's great. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your taxes, give Steve a call, 888-TAX-DEAL, or you can catch him on the web, moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
Hey, which one of you is Mark Thompson?
What he's got going here is a situation.
It's unbelievably offensive.
Put up your pants, my man. Pull up those pants.
Ralph Nader just sent me a book. Did he send you one too?
I offer this sincere apology to you today.
Calling me a liar? Is that what you calling me?
You, sir, are a liar.
You are a cover-up artist and you are a liar.
Liar, liar, your pants are on fire!
Why are you yelling?
A Google told me.
Can you let him finish, sir?
It was wrong, it was stupid, and I'm trying to be a better person.
I'm going to tell you what I think.
What are the porn stars doing?
Do you have a secret talent?
Doesn't anybody better weed?
It's 100% effective. How about that?
Say what?
And this is their new hoax.
There is no defense for my conduct.
I misspoke. I stand corrected.
And I wanted to apologize to the Asian community, the Asian American community.
Time's up, mother effers.
The Mark Thompson Show.
So, I don't know if you saw that Ted Cruz is on The View. We have a little bit of that in a second, but I wanted to first welcome you to Hour 2. Please smash the like button. Smash it with your iron rod if you've got one. I mean, I'm not saying you have to go out and get an iron rod, but it is the thing all the kids are doing. And you can also just hit the thumbs up. That helps us a lot. And subscribe, please share. And if you want to chat with us, the super chat is up. And we appreciate Stan. Thank you, Stan. How about that? $19.99 from Stan. He is a CPA. Love it. Thank you, Stan Pollock. Appreciate that. Michael Adams, this is for your own AI. He's on the super chat. Thanks, Michael. Yeah, we do need our own AI. Jim Slayton, $4.99 for the one Thanksgiving gourd decoration. Thank you very much, Jim Slayton. Jim Slayton's a real connected listener, like he on Twitter and here on the show every day. So really cool that he supports on an ongoing basis. Thanks to all of you. It does take this community. One of the great things about, like, the technical stuff is a bad thing. Every morning we're running around, and without Tony, I don't know what I would do with all of this stuff. I mean, it would be an utter mess and meltdown every day.
Tony, what angered you?
So the thing about Tony is that he somehow brings order to all of this. That is the downside to doing this, is the having to sort of build this all right away. And it's still being built and added. That's why we need your support, so that we can both pay Kim, John, and also get some money for Tony, and then for the equipment and things that are needed. So that's kind of the challenge, and if you want to think of it as the bad part. The good part, and this is a great part of doing this show, is that there's a community now. And now we see who you are. And I mentioned Jim Slayton because I knew him through Twitter, and I know him through email and all this kind of thing. Our email is themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. But now you can speak to each other in the YouTube chat, and we can speak to you in the YouTube chat. And John's really good about interacting with the audience. While I'm rapping, he can, tap out some kind of message, and Kim as well. So, in fact, Kim goes in after the show's off sometimes, and she'll correct things, or meaning if listeners have questions or they think they heard something, she'll do that. So this sense of community is the real great thing about being on the YouTube channel. So that's the thing that I really enjoy.
Why don't you just text it?
Yeah, you can text us, and we'll see your comments, and we'll add them to the screen. The shark, I only caught a piece of that. It's a shark. The shark is a violation. Please remove the shark.
Flip flop.
From G Wiz. Thank you. That's very funny. That's very funny. Eric says, I do not like that man, Ted Cruz. I do not like him on The View. Yes, Eric, Ted Cruz, you get what you expect.
Eric, that was kind of like a Dr. Seuss rhyme.
Yes, that was Dr. Seuss, which I think he was kind of going for that.
That was Green Eggs and Hammy, yeah.
Yeah.
It was obviously a mistake, and in hindsight, I wouldn't have done it.
That's when he took his kids to Mexico. Remember?
I do not like him on a plane.
Yeah. I do not like him, Sam. I am, says Avila.
Hey, look, we don't have school. Let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here. It's cold in Texas.
That sounds like an after-school special right there.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we don't have school. Let's get out of here.
Right. It's like those old movies that Hey, let's do a show. I've got a barn. I've got makeup. I've got costumes. Let's go
to Mexico.
Yeah. So Ted Cruz was on The View. He's got a book that he's pushing, but I'm going to run a little bit of it just because I want you to get a feel for the obfuscation that he does. The avoiding a real answer. He's so skilled as a politician. I think he went to Harvard as well, and so
get a ding there.
Obfuscation is certainly a ding word. You're right. But I also think that with Cruz, what you get is a bizarre reversal on Trump, having to morph himself in this new political environment, and you'll see this all, I think, especially toward the end of this clip when you'll see he's pushed back on by somebody who actually is a GOP conservative in the old school way, who sort of challenges him on his support of January 6th. And well, let's roll the clip and you'll get a feel. This is Ted Cruz on The View.
Well, I would say your responsibility was to the Constitution and democracy, not to Donald Trump. But it seems to me
I agree, and let me be very clear. I think that the Democrats had been undermining the Constitution and undermining democracy, and that the book that is coming out tomorrow is on exactly that topic: how the Department of Justice and the FBI have been turned into partisan weapons to attack the political opponents of the Biden.
Well,
Senator,
but your guy that you're supporting gave no respect to the Justice Department, gave no respect to how it's supposed to work. He doesn't recognize a subpoena. We got to fight to get people to come and do. Well, you're talking about we corrupted it. You guys don't pay any attention to it.
Well,
that's a great talking point.
I don't do talking points. Okay. This is just how I feel.
But it happens not to be true.
Oh, honey.
So if you look at, you guys at the beginning of the show had this long discussion about, is Donald Trump going to testify under oath? Of course he's not. Nobody thinks he is. And by the way, did Barack Obama testify under oath? No.
He never defied a congressional subpoena.
But you know who did? You know who did? Eric Holder, the Attorney General of the United States, was held in contempt and tried to cover up the malfeasance of the Department of Justice. He refused to show up for
malfeasance is a ding
for the subpoena. He was held in contempt of
Trump
Congress
weaponized the Department of Justice.
Give me one example.
Bill Barr. Real quick.
Okay, you said a name.
Let me get a chance to get it.
Okay, weaponized. Give me the target that was persecuted, because I can tell you who the Democrats, Merrick Garland, directed the FBI to go after moms and dads who go to school boards and to treat them as domestic terrorists using the Patriot Act. That is fundamentally wrong.
This is him going on offense.
About that in your book.
Yes,
let me get a chance to get in, Senator. But thank you for being here.
This is what I wanted to hear.
Back in 2016, when it was you and Donald Trump were the last candidates in the Republican nomination, I remember working with my bosses on Capitol Hill, members of the Freedom Caucus, begging them to endorse you because I thought you were the true conservative who could defeat that man.
Thank you.
He won. I ended up going on to work for him. I've made my peace with those decisions. But January 6th is something I have a really hard time moving beyond from. And I say that as a constitutional conservative, which is what you pride yourself in being. How can you be okay with the undemocratic action of trying to disenfranchise 80 million voters? And do you believe Biden legitimately won the election?
So what I'd say is a couple of things. Number
Watch
one,
him
in this
obfuscate
book,
here.
I have an entire chapter on January 6th. That if you want to know the inside story of what happened, listen, I recognize a lot of the folks who may be here who watch this show are not politically on my side of the aisle. That's fine. I'm glad we're having conversations. I'm glad we're actually talking to each other. America, there's so much screaming and yelling and hatred.
Now he's just filling.
That if this country is going to make it through, we got to actually try to understand each other and hear what the other is saying. So I would encourage you, especially if you don't happen to agree with my view of politics, read the chapter on January 6th on the inside.
I read it as somebody.
Really good question.
I did. I read the chapter into someone who agreed with you most of your career. How do you reconcile your constitutional convictions with what happened on January 6th and trying to overturn the election when 60 court cases got knocked down? And just finally, was
election.
Biden legitimately elected? Because half the party thinks that he wasn't, and it'd be very powerful for you to tell the truth.
So listen, Biden is the president today. There's a lot of folks in the media that anytime, hold on, I'm answering exactly that question. There are a lot of folks in the media that try to, anytime a Republican is in front of a TV camera, try to say the election was fair and square and legitimate. You know who y'all don't do that to? You don't do it to Hillary Clinton, who stood up and said Trump stole the election.
This is a whataboutism that goes on.
The election was stolen. They sat here and said it was illegitimate, and you guys were fine with it. Okay, so it's illegitimate when Republicans win, but not when Democrats win.
No, you know, here's the thing. We may not like when Republicans win, but we don't go and we don't storm. We don't try to change.
So you can hold it up here. The thing I would say that I say Democrats. I don't know if it's a Republican Democrat thing, but I would say if you're taking on that argument about was the elections, whatever it was, I won't even say the word because of the artificial intelligence that will, I don't know, that will deplatforms. But what I would say is that on this issue, you need to, Democrats, this is a little pro tip, you need to take on the specifics of what happened. This idea that then you can do this, what about it? Well, what about Hillary Clinton? She didn't think that was legitimate, et cetera. You can, what about past Al Gore, past elections where there was a legitimate conversation around how it all went down? That's not the way to allow this kind of person in Cruz to hijack the conversation. What you should be asking specifically is, look, this president called the Secretary of State of a state and said, I want you to get me more votes so I can win.
Find them. Just find the votes.
Find them. Senator Lindsey Graham called another state's Secretary of State and governor to try to find votes for the then sitting president, Donald Trump. After the election was done, that's the kind of specific you need to knock down these generalities about, well, there have been questions about elections for... No. The behavior of the last administration when the election rolled around is grotesque and illegal. And it has to be called out as such. These aren't general questions about, you can talk about elections in America and really have legitimate questions about whether this democracy or this republic functions the way it should. I mean, you don't have availability of voting in some states to many people who essentially are limited because of the ballot box placement and the waiting online and the same-day voting requirements and eliminating mail-in or whatever. And you know what gerrymandering does to Congress. So you can have these arguments and reasonably discuss them. But when it comes to the last administration, you have to point to the specific phone calls. There are recordings of this guy trying to steal votes. So I'm guessing those of you listening to this live are going to be benefiting from my brilliance. But AI may take this down because of what I've just said, but I don't know.
He didn't answer the question. And I was impressed with a redirect on The View. Usually they don't have a lot of time. They just fire off the questions, let the answers stand as a matter of record and move on. But she redirected. And she said specifically again, how can you reconcile the attack on the Capitol with being a constitutional Republican? Again, he didn't answer. And his answer about whether the election was stolen was woeful.
Right, of course. That was a talking point. Who put up Ted Cruz, Senator, and Mealy-mouthed Weasel?
It wasn't me. I swear it wasn't me.
We don't call people names on the show, even if they're
accurate.
Yeah, I don't. We don't do it. I allow this in this one time, but it was up there for a while. So. Jeff, don't forget that Trump also told the DOJ to lie about the election. That's right. That's exactly right. I mean, yeah, I was just right. You can go into specifics beyond those calls to Georgia, But I definitely think the specifics are the way to pursue that conversation. And Kim is right, because that conversation on The View actually was more substantive than I'm used to seeing. And on the part of The View panelists, you know. Mark Thompson doing a great job is John has changed the...
he's fantastic.
Yeah, he's changed the... what do you call that, John? The lower third super? Is that what you call... yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Well...
Albert, thank you.
Oh, thank you. John...
Fabulous producer, John Daly.
What do I have to do now, John Daly?
We have news of the bazaar, but we could do that, or we could, wait for our sponsor.
I'm happy to... Ted Cruz is out singing his Ted Cruz blues, says CJ. It's harder to grift in the shadow of Trump. Yeah, but it was interesting to hear Cruz pitch for his book. Like most people have books and they'll get you back around to, well, in the book I discuss or in the book. He doesn't even, he just goes, well, I answer that in the book. I don't want to, if you read chapter 11 is all about that, or chapter 12 or whatever he said. Our dog goes nuts with every ding word. She thinks it's the doorbell, says RN Sue. Registered nurse, I guess. She's got the stethoscope in her thumbnail. Yeah, I've heard this before, that people with dogs, the dogs will react to the sound of the ding.
My cat Archie loves the ding.
Did Barack Obama break the law, you condescending sack of... Right.
Fill in the blank.
Says Nick. Again, Barack Obama, as best we know, didn't break the law, any kind of laws related to election or laws related to... I mean, you can tell me, maybe there are those who would suggest that there were laws broken of a different sort, but I think that, you really had a lawless administration in the last... These guys like Cruz still can't bring themselves to say anything negative about Trump. Coward, says Randy. Yeah, indeed. I want to tell you one thing that's happening, because I'm kind of excited right now in Mark Thompson land. Cruz has learned the art of evasion from his orange master. Now, I'd say, Nick, he already knew Cruz is a skilled politician. He knows the art of evasion. But the reversal that Ted Cruz did, as I was saying before, is just amazing. I mean, in Trump having insulted his wife's looks, his father, and then, of course, just claiming this thing that didn't happen in the last election. It's crazy that he would then, be supportive and, completely hitch his wagons to that. But that, in a way, is consistent with politics, right? You hitch your wagons to whatever horses seem to really be running in the most powerful direction. So I'm not a big one for Halloween dress up. Do you do that, Kim? Do you guys go out? You do have kids, so yeah.
So, right. Yeah, I have kids. So I always find a little, like a headband that has a character theme, like a sunflower, something easy where I could just throw it on and say, I'm a flower, I'm a this. So I'm not a big dress-up person, but I try to do something fun.
Yeah, you want to participate. I'm the same way. I don't really like to do costume parties or elaborate costumes, but I do understand that, and we were invited to this costume party. Okay, this is for next week. I think it's on, what is it, Monday, Halloween?
Yeah. Are we going to do a show Halloween theme?
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. We can take a meeting about that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a Halloween theme will just have to be developed. If you want to work on it, I'd love to.
Kim, how are you?
Okay. So, I mean, I think that would work.
How did I become the person planning the costume?
Well, you're the one who suggested it. I mean, I'm having trouble getting this show on the air every day. If you want a themed show, it is your responsibility.
Kim, how are you?
Okay, so you will do it.
What you're doing here.
And yeah, you don't have to do it, but you suggested it. I'd love to be part of it. But
Kim, how are you?
Okay, so the party that Courtney wants to attend is always fun because these people have a lot of fun. They do holidays really well. The guy, the husband, has the most elaborate Christmas village thing, the small Christmas villages, and then you add a little bit to it every year. Wow, that's really wild. Jay Lee on the, is that, what is that, a super chat?
Yeah.
Wow, that's really great. $50 in Jay Lee, everybody. Come on. Yeah. Thank you, Jay. Awesome. That really helps. Thank you so much. But those little Christmas villages that you add on to every year. I used to have one as a kid, and you have, additional snow and additional carolers, and you have all this stuff. It doesn't have to be Christmas. You could have your own Hanukkah thing or whatever. It could be non-denominational, whatever. I'm just saying he's got this thing, and his indeed is growing to the point that it takes up like half of a room. It's like those people who do the model train sets, and he has a train that actually goes around all of this, and he has all of these miniatures. He said he's got an amusement park, a miniature amusement park in this incredible expanse, which is this Christmas village. He only brings it out at Christmas time. So we know it's going to be fun. We're going to go there for Halloween, and they're going to do all kinds of Halloween stuff too, because they do those holidays that way. So Courtney really wants to go, and I think it'll be fun, so we're going to go. But they made a big deal on the invitation. You must be in costume. I was like, oh, really? I mean, like, where you dress up with something you've made, and, you're a Brillo pad, or you're you know what I mean? Look, I'm a cereal box, and I
think better than that.
Have you ever dressed up as a tax attorney?
I'm going. You took away my big finish, John. I'm going as veteran Bay Area tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. Everybody, come on! I'm very excited about it. I'll tell you what I've decided on and I will show you my costume as soon as I spend a moment with our friend Steve Moskowitz, who is the OG, the original sponsor of the show, the exclusive sponsor. Steve Moskowitz, welcome to the madness.
Well, thank you, Mark. And I was planning on going as Mark Thompson, the dancing weatherman.
There you go. I like it.
I always enjoyed when you did that.
Yeah, that was a weird thing. I just started doing that on the news in Los Angeles at one night, and it took off. It became a thing, and when I didn't do it, sometimes when the weather was serious, I wouldn't do it because I just felt it was kind of it would be an insult to the information and the gravity of the situation. But people, when I didn't do it, would write all of these emails like, "That's the only reason I tune in to see Mark dance." Blah blah. It was like, all right. So it did become a thing. So I appreciate that now cultural reference. And there are all kinds of videos on YouTube of me dancing. So that somebody can go on a treasure hunt for those another time. All right, let's talk taxes, Steve Moskowitz. I'll start wherever you want. I know you're anxious to push ERC because it's money. It's a check from the federal government to those of us who usually end up writing checks.
When you talk about taxes, you talk about the check going the other way from the person to the government. This one is my favorite, where the check is going from the government to the person. And one of the things I want to tell you, what do you have to do to qualify? Well, the government will pay you up to $26,000 for every employee you have, up to 500 employees, different rule after 500. So that's from 1 to 500. And then you say, well, how do I qualify? There's two ways. There's the easy way, which is a certain drop in gross revenue. That's math. It's a number. Either you have it or you don't. Nothing to think about. But a lot of firms are stopping there and saying, well, that's it. If your gross revenue didn't drop enough, no ERC for you. Wrong. The law says there's two different ways to qualify. That's one way. But they say either or. The other way is what's called a full or partial disclosure, a facts and circumstances test. It's more complex. You have to figure it out. Does the person qualify? For example, every business in the state of California that did business inside was mandated to only use 25% of their inside. So even an essential business like a grocery store, like Safeway, could only use 25% of their store, which meant they had a 75% partial closure, or supply chain disruptions, or a lot of other things. So that's the one extreme. You don't want to go to somebody who closes the door when the door should be open. On the other hand, unfortunately, there have been a lot of fraud, and the IRS is investigating this actively, where a lot of companies have just popped up just to do the ERC. And then they're going to fold their tents and go. When the IRS has a few questions, you won't be able to find them. And obviously, like anything else, you never want to commit any type of fraud. Nowhere on your tax return do you want to fraudulently do something, of course. But in fairness to people, they're relying on somebody they don't know. So I'm saying, keep away from the two extremes. The one extreme that only wants to do it the easy way, that is losing you incredible money if you qualify under the second way. And obviously, you don't want to commit any tax fraud. You don't want that either. We're a law firm. We've practiced in tax law for over 30 years. we're here for you, and we will tell you our results. If you don't qualify, we'll say, look, sorry, you don't qualify because of X. If you do qualify, we'll say, great, you qualify because of Y, and then let's go ahead and get every penny to which you're legally entitled.
Yeah, you need, I think in Steve and what I'm learning in these conversations around ERC is you need an advocate who will really do the research and who really knows the code. And you don't get that from Google, and you don't get that from a lot of these fly-by-night tax deal people who are, or firms, who are just setting up shop literally just for this, as Steve says. I mean, this is a well-publicized but not really talked about in detail offer that the government is making. So reach Steve Moskowitz at 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL. Or with any other questions not related to ERC, you can still call Steve, and he can help you out. You can also reach him online, MoskowitzLLP.com. Steve, talk to you soon, and thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, Steve Moskowitz, everybody. You know it. You know it.
Hey, which one do you use, Mark Thompson?
Who's Mark Thompson?
The Mark Thompson Show.
I want to show you my costume, which just came. So I'm like Kim. I didn't want to go with an elaborate costume, but I do. I got the email from them saying you must wear a costume. Like nobody will be allowed in unless you're wearing a costume. So I thought, oh, this is going to suck, because I got to get dressed up. But then Courtney came up with the idea that we will order these astronaut suits. Can you see the astronaut suit? So this is a white astronaut suit. It's an astronaut jumpsuit with hat, NASA hat. And by the way, this is the actual suit, John and Kim. This is the ones that the astronauts wear.
So these are the ones that are failing?
These, I think they've worked the kinks out. I have to hope that they've worked the kinks out,
You better figure it out before you go to the party.
That's true. Thank you for mentioning that. The other suits had issues. I'm hoping that they're not faltering in some way, and that's the reason they're unloading them. Because I didn't realize that you could buy the actual astronaut suits on Amazon, but I guess that's how NASA gets them also. I think these came from Amazon. So I'm going as an astronaut. I haven't tried on the suit yet, but I'll have a photo for you the day after Halloween. But I'm excited. A kind of a macho astronaut suit. My white astronaut jumpsuit will be what I wear for Halloween. You should smash that like button if you haven't, and show us a little love. Thank you for everybody supporting the show in all the different ways. Let me tell you what's coming up in the next half hour. Joe Ferullo, who talks about media and politics. He writes a column for The Hill. He'll be here. We'll talk about the way the media is covering the midterms. We'll speak about some of these high-profile events, debates, and such. And also, I want to hear about Judge Judy's 80th birthday party. Joe just came back from Judge Judy's 80th birthday party. Now, remember, Joe ran the syndicated division that handled Judge Judy, Dr. Phil, Rachel Ray, all these. So we'll ask him any of those questions, get them ready, and jump on the chat, and we'll do that right after Kim's news. So that's all still to come in the next half hour. Do I have to do anything else, John, or not?
You're good to go. You're clear for takeoff.
All right.
In 5, 4.
I love it. All right, much to come. Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Just making sure I'm unmuted. I am Kim McAllister. This is the Mark Thompson Show, and this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888-TAX-DEAL. The man who drove into last year's Christmas parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin, is being convicted of killing 6 people and injuring more than 60 others. It took the jury about 3 hours to reach that verdict. Darrell Brooks Jr. facing life in prison on those convictions. A South Carolina judge is forcing a former Trump chief of staff to comply with a Georgia subpoena. Mark Meadows had been trying to get out of complying with the request for him to testify about potential criminal activity in the 2020 presidential election in Georgia. Meadows is not a Georgia resident, which is why a Carolina judge had to get involved in that one. Russia's ambassador to the United Kingdom says his country will not use nuclear weapons in Andrei the remark after repeated warnings that Russia may resort to such weapons as its war in Ukraine drags on. He said it is out of the question. And 6 states led by conservative Republicans are suing the Biden administration over the president's student debt forgiveness plan. In court documents filed today, Arkansas, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, and South Carolina argue they would be financially harmed if the federal government canceled billions in student loan debt. The Gap, San Francisco-based company, pulling rapper Kanye West's Yeezy Gap line of merchandise from its stores, shutting down Gap.com. Foot Locker also pulling Yeezy products from its shelves. These are the latest companies stepping away from business alliances with West, now going by Ye, due to his anti-Semitic social media posts and interviews. YouTube's revenue declined for the first time since Google started reporting the division's earnings separately. It's okay, YouTube. Mark Thompson is here. He's going to fix that for you. YouTube advertising revenue dropped 2% year over year to a little more than $7 billion. The parent company, Alphabet's total quarterly revenue growth drastically declined from 41% to 6%.
And why do they say it has declined, Kim? Do they offer the explanation?
They don't offer the reason. They were waiting for you to show up so that you could fix it all. I don't know. They don't say why.
What?
I don't know the answer. It just declined, okay? That's all we know. Golden State Warriors star Klay Thompson, as you were mentioning, made history Tuesday night. Not for a good reason, though. The 4-time NBA champion got ejected for the first time in his 10-year career during a chippy third quarter of the Warriors game against the Suns in Phoenix. The 5-time All-Star was hit with 2 technicals after jawing, I guess that means mouthing off, with Suns All-Star Devin Booker and shoving the Suns' Mikal Bridges. Oh, Klay, come on. 2 marijuana companies are facing lawsuits for allegedly not getting consumers high enough. Lawsuit filed against Dreamfields Brands Incorporated and Med for America. The suit alleges the Jeter pre-rolls advertise much higher THC than they actually contain. And this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your taxes, please give Steve a call, 888-TAX-DEAL. Catch him online, MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson.
What up, everybody?
Feel it in your soul. The Mark Thompson Show.
Yes, thank you very much, Shadow Stevens. Very, very cool to be with you all on a Wednesday. It is our home stretch, and we're so glad that you joined us. I mean, the truth is, without you, we don't have a show. So your support in every way, liking and subscribing to the show and sharing it, that helps grow this audience. I love the community that we've grown. And yeah, you have to hit the like button on every episode. It seems weird. Like you'd think, well, I liked it. I've liked the show. No, but every show is evaluated for the number of likes. So you have
with your iron rod.
Yeah, smash it with your iron rod if you want to, and show us the love. This guy, Don Robertson. Wow, $50. Wow, come on, Don Robertson. Shout out. Love you guys. Wish you all of the success on this YouTube platform. Tiffany with $19.99. Thank you, Tiffany. Right on.
Big shout out.
Mark DeLeon. Thank you for $9.99, Mark.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Elwin with a super sticker for $5. Thanks,
Thank you
Elwin.
so much.
Yeah. Really cool. Those of you who are part of this community who support us in all of these different ways, it makes such a big difference. So thank you. You can go to our Patreon page too, and you can find the Patreon page through our main website. If you don't want to put in patreon.com/The Mark Thompson Show, you can do it at themarkthompsonshow.com. So you literally just have to remember that, themarkthompsonshow.com. You got to put the in there, themarkthompsonshow.com. And it's got a link to Patreon and also to our YouTube page. So
because as we've mentioned, if you don't put the you get to the Christian ventriloquist Mark Thompson, and that is not the one you want.
Yeah, he's
maybe
fantastic,
it is the one you
though.
want.
Yeah, maybe it is.
It's fantastic.
It's kind of, I have to say, I'd pay to see Christian ventriloquism. I really would. I think, you know what I mean? It does. So if you do go to markthompson.com, it's not me. Markthompsonshow.com is not us. It's this Christian ventriloquist. But let us know how the show is, because I think
Do you think he has an iron rod?
Well, that's a good question, John. I don't know if
Smash it with your iron rod.
Oh, that's where that comes from. Yeah. That iron rod comes from Michelle Bachmann. Somebody was asking, where does it come from? It's Michelle Bachmann who was reading a passage. But it's perfect for smashing the like button.
Smash it with your iron rod.
So we've made him wait long enough, but he does have a rich tradition on this show of being forced to wait. He's the great media and politics writer for The Hill, friend of the show for a long time. He is Joe Ferullo, everybody. Joe, welcome back.
This is great, Mark. To be here with the OG KGO folks is fantastic. So congrats.
Thank you, pal. Thank you. This is really an exciting new project.
Before we get started.
Yes, sir.
What does a Christian ventriloquist do exactly? Is the puppet?
That's why I want to see it. That's why I want to see it.
Right? Is the puppet like John the Baptist? I don't understand.
Oh, that's good.
I think he's levitating. Maybe he's walking on water.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? I don't. Well,
there's a lot of room to run. There's a lot of room to run. Let's be honest. I think I'm not in the least bit disparaging of it. I really mean it. I'd love to see it.
It's Jerry Falwell. We're going to do Jerry Falwell. I don't understand.
Right.
Okay.
Well, we do something called televangelist theater on this show regularly, where we feature a lot of the televangelism, and that can really get kind of extreme and out there. I have actually a really great couple of cuts. Maybe we'll get to them tomorrow. But I imagine that there's also a tamer kind of offering, and maybe he falls into that category, you know.
Okay. All right.
But I would love.
Let's track him down and go see him. He's got to be playing somewhere.
I say this to you with the solemn pledge. I would go to see the Christian ventriloquist, not out of mockery, but really out of curiosity. And if we're in the same town with the Christian ventriloquist, maybe we can go together.
Amen.
You're a Catholic, and I know, maybe some of the stuff you can explain it to me, as a godless heathen. So I want to ask you first about, and I want to get to the way the midterms are being covered. I want to first ask you, because I promised everyone I would, ask you about the Judge Judy 80th birthday party. Where did she have it?
Pretty fantastic. It was at the Peninsula Hotel, which is a fancy schmancy Beverly Hills hotel that she's always liked. But here's the plot twist. It was a country western themed party. So
why?
In this like super upscale Beverly Hills hotel, everyone, all of her friends, all of us are dressed in like, flannel cowboy shirts, jeans, and boots.
I love that.
Cowboy hats.
What?
Yeah. And who was in attendance when you say all of her friends? Like, what kind of people were there?
Most of them were people. I mean, look, most of them are folks that you and the audience don't care about. It's like former CBS execs she's known, people from Paramount. But one of the big stars there was Amy Poehler, who is a huge fan. She and Amy Schumer are like mega fans of Judy's and have come to the show, just sat in the audience and watched it. Come back into the green room. I was there when Amy Schumer was there, and it's just they're giddy. They can't believe they are in the presence.
Wait! I'm a super fan of Judge Judy. You never invited me to sit in the audience.
Yeah, but,
I would have loved to have done that.
Well, you never asked, and B,
that is true. I never asked.
I would have let you because you would have done something inappropriate. Because that's who you are.
You didn't trust me? Oh my God! All right.
You probably would have brought a gavel and started banging it on the chair. And
all right. That's not me. But all right, anyway, continue. So she's got this following from Amy Poehler, and so Poehler was there at her 80th birthday.
She had this great band from Wyoming that she flew down to play.
Is she a country western person? Why country western? Why?
I'm not sure. She has a house up that way, somewhere in Wyoming or Montana. Forgive me, I don't know where it is. But I think she's kind of gotten into country western from that.
Wow. Well, that's really cool. I think it's so. Aside from Judge Judy and Amy Poehler, were there any other of her syndicated pals, like the Dr. Phils of the world, or any of them?
Here's the thing.
Rachel Ray. I don't know.
No. You would think, but they don't all hang out together the way comedians hang out together at the bar before a show.
I see.
And when you're as extremely, what's the word I'm looking for, competitive as Judge Judy is, you don't even want to acknowledge their existence.
Oh, that's good.
So no, none of those people were there.
Well, I when you put it that way, I make sense. You don't want.
I don't want to hear you.
On your birthday, you don't want anybody stealing the limelight from you necessarily.
And I don't know if she's posted any photos. Probably not. She doesn't do that kind of. She looks amazing, Mark. Yeah. I mean, she's 80. She works out an hour every single morning, but like really works out. Not like she walks around the block with the dog. She really works out. She looks fantastic, and danced her heart out all night long. It was amazing.
So she still has her show on Amazon, is it? The Judge Judy show has migrated to Amazon, right?
There's a different title. I think it's called Judy's Justice, but it's basically the same show, the same format, and she's doing it on Amazon.
Her old shows have been bundled by the place you used to work, I think, and they're being syndicated as well, aren't they? Or they're being aired somewhere.
So CBS owns her library of the Judge Judy show. And so they keep running, basically in the same time period that folks have always seen it. And it is still week after week the highest rated show in daytime television. So it's pretty incredible.
It's terrific. And that's really cool to hear. And I have to say that when you watch old Judge Judy episodes, which I've done for hours actually, I used to record them, but it was filling up the disk space because there's so many of them. There's Judge Judy on screen for those of you watching on YouTube. The old episodes, which you can needle drop, just put on any old one. You don't remember how they turned out, and I watched a lot of Judge Judy, and so it completely feels like an evergreen. You have that stuff in that library forever.
Absolutely, no, it'll be like I Love Lucy shows, Mark. Long after you and I are gone, those things will still be on the air every night, every day, and every night. Yeah.
You saw the bailiff. Was it Judy's bailiff? Who was that bailiff involved in that controversy? You must know about this, Joe. There was a bailiff in one of these TV court shows.
Yeah, hold on. Why am I blanking on the name?
So Judy, I thought it was Judge Judy. Kim, maybe you can check this, or John, maybe you can check
Google it.
Who asked... said something, the defendant or whatever, the person speaking to the judge, Judge Judy, I thought it was, says the bailiff doesn't look very happy or something like that. Made some comment about the bailiff not being happy. Isn't that what it was? And then
no, that one I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Okay. This is, and then as it turns out, I tweeted it somewhere there, and it's Googleable, but turns out that and Judy kind of looks and says, well, he's okay. He's and it might not have been Judy, but I'm just using Judy in this in this description. And oh no, that's those are famous. There she is, Judge Judy lines underneath her. But the bailiff then cut to is in his own court case and is accused of murder, as I recall. Again, it would be better if I could actually
Google it. No, that's not it. No, that's not the way. Yeah, I thought you were talking about...
Oh, wait a minute. Tony, I think, has found it. Tony, did you find it?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Tony is the best. Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah. Tony's looking for it, and we'll find it. But essentially, it's a bailiff in one of these TV shows, and these judges... Here it is. It is Judge Judy. Check this out.
No,
it's not?
It was Christina's court.
Oh, Christina's court. Okay.
So another one.
Thanks, Tony.
Okay. Check this out. This is worth the wait, and everybody listening and watching.
I feel like a child in my
People
own
in
house.
love, they yell at each other all the time.
Oh, that's true. Ask him he's been married for how long?
Over 20 something years.
Gesturing to the
Look
bailiff.
at him though. He
Ask
look
him.
mad. You don't look happy, brother. You don't look happy.
He's very happy.
Sherman Chow, a former TV show bailiff and current Harris County deputy charged with his wife's murder, now ordered not to attend her funeral. Bernard's
That is the bailiff.
That's a good one.
He's accused of murdering his wife. So that guy who said he doesn't look happy, he was right.
Wow.
Great grab, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah,
this is great. Thank you, Tony. Normally, Mark, I don't like that kind of dead air on broadcasting, but that was a good payoff. So
that was good. Sorry. Yeah. No. This is. I'll tell you. I'll tell you the other thing about this show, which is really it's all in education. It's got a different vibe, and you as a media, somebody who opines on media, you know this. The YouTube environment is sort of more tolerant of things like, let's try to find this now, and I can have longer conversations. We can run much longer clips. I ran a long clip from The View. We ran a long clip from Fetterman this morning. So you can do more of that on YouTube, I think.
I mean, listen, your KGO show was genius, and you know that. You're great at what you do. You're great. This is better in a lot of ways because it even shows more of what you can do. There's a lot of, what you call breathing space in it, where, like you said, you can run a long clip. You can talk a little bit at length about things. It's fantastic.
We can see the Emmy on your shelf.
It does.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right, let me ask you quickly about the midterms and the way things are being covered in media. Give me some takes on what's happening.
It's interesting. I know that you guys spoke to Jim Avila a little earlier about the Fetterman thing, Fetterman and Oz debate. I think it's very interesting what's going on there, which is the media is kind of nervous about talking about Fetterman's disability, right? Because most people in the media don't think you ought to make a big deal out of that, rightly so, but yet they keep mentioning it. They keep making it the lead story of today. It was all about his stumbles and things, which, as he's explained, as the media had to apologize for a week or two ago, they're not cognitive stumbles as much as that it takes them a moment to read what's going on and process it. So, and it's a temporary disability, he assures everyone, okay. But yet the media keeps saying, because that's the only new thing about all of this really, is, here's how he did this time. Here's how he did this time. Here's his stumble this time. It's like focusing on Biden's stumbles all the time. It becomes its own story, even though they keep saying that's not what we want to do.
And it's funny, too, that you mentioned this, because I had this thought as I watched the debate last night. Imagine going into debate as anyone, without any kind of deficiencies that have been brought on by a stroke. Right. Imagine going into a debate and being told all they're going to do is scrutinize when you flub any word or any thought. So that they're really, whatever you do, don't mess up any word or any thought. That additional pressure, that alone would probably make you boot a couple of sentences. Now, add to that your inability to express yourself in some ways brought on by this stroke. And I think you just have this recipe for a kind of a car crash quality, which is what I felt the media was. Don't get me wrong. This is a legit high-profile thing. It's why you're so the person to talk to about this, because it legitimately is an important political race, and there's legitimacy to unprecedented legitimacy, I'd suggest, to someone having a stroke recently enough that it affects their performance on stage. And then you have this media environment that as you suggest, is focusing in some way or another first on, is this guy fit for office?
Exactly. And so that becomes the main narrative of every story. And then literally bullet points of, by the way, here's where they disagreed on major policy points, or here's what Oz said this time versus what he said last time, all becomes secondary, right? The first 7 paragraphs of the story or the first 2 minutes of the CNN piece is, how did he do with his stumbling? Which just elevates it and makes it his complete identity as a human being, which disability advocates have long said, please don't do that. Don't make it all about that, right? I have a brain, I can function in society, don't do that to me. And yet that's exactly what's being done.
So that race is, and of course, Oz, is this guy who's, essentially grown up in the adult world of his career. I'm talking about the chapter of the career involving the media. He's grown up in this environment. He was a little awkward also when he first showed up on Oprah's show, but then he really smoothed out. And of course, now he's it's like watching a Fred Astaire tap dance. He's so comfortable on camera. So you've got one guy who really doesn't have any, to extend the metaphor, can't dance anymore, or at least right now because of his stroke. Right. The other guy is like a world-class dancer. It's difficult to watch.
Yeah, it really is, and it's that one of the arguments there could be, Mark, is who's more authentic, right? That a lot of times swing voters look for authenticity. Are you showing me who you really are? And I thought Fetterman did a very good job right from the top, saying, look, here's what you're going to see tonight. It's not going to be fun a lot of times.
Right.
But Oz is a very slick performer. In the past, slick has not done well. People feel like slick is artificial. And that was very, very much what you saw in terms of the contrast between the two of them. How will voters display it? Who knows? Everyone seems
Meanwhile,
so
you've got in Georgia, you've got Warnock and Walker. I mean, Walker's excuse, I don't know what it is. At least Fetterman has the excuse of stroke. Walker's all over the road, but I will tell you this, and I told the audience this after having watched that Walker debate. I was expecting Walker to trip all over himself. Now, don't get me wrong. He's clueless and just mentions GOP talking points and really defaults to them, but he does it effectively. He does it effectively, meaning if you want to hear that basic talking point, it's not articulated eloquently and beautifully, but it's articulated. Walker's going to maintain that.
But Mark, that's one, and I don't disagree with you, except that now you've lowered the bar so much, which is what's happening in the Trump GOP, in terms of their quality of candidates. That even McConnell has said we got a candidate quality problem. But again, if media analysts and political analysts keep lowering the bar to the point where Walker does a great job if he hasn't admitted to having yet another kid he didn't know about. Okay, then he wins.
And Carrie Lake, I want to just mention her on the way out here. She's the attractive candidate. I mean, what she spews is utter BS, and it's beyond GOP talking point. She's a kind of a reconstituted MAGA Republican, but she is a great package, right? Because she's been on television for decades now. They know her in Arizona, and she's making a real charge. Many in the Republican Party look at her as the future.
Yeah, no, and it's all about the package. I agree. What you might expect from that kind of that stuff coming out of her, you might expect a Marjorie Taylor Greene person who's just bitter, angry, boom, just wears it out there on their sleeves. She's got that together package, right? That anchor package, so that she can say some really, really crazy out there stuff, but in a very nice, reasonable tone of voice, looking very, very reasonable. So you're right. The package is really important and could be a template for that wing of the party going forward.
Exactly. I mean, if you can pull back the crazy sound and deliver it in this sort of very together way, yeah, it's a totally different game. So
they pay me a lot of money for having attitude.
Yeah.
Throw a little polish on there, and people believe him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we love the Judy insights. We love you, Judge Judy, on this show. Please pass along our best wishes to the judge.
Will do.
And by the way, Judy's bailiff, didn't he have a show also, or wasn't there talk that he was going to get a show?
He got all kinds of angry. He did some interview with, I think it was the LA Times, I'm not sure, about how angry he was that he did not get selected to go over and do the new Amazon version of her show.
Oh, she left her bailiff behind, man.
Listen to me. I don't want to hear you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who knows what was going on in chambers? I mean,
bailiff
that's crazy.
Bird.
They always got along, but maybe secretly they didn't. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, it was a big move. It was a big move to go in another direction with that.
Well, I love that you join us and continue to join us. Come visit again, especially after the midterms. We'll talk about how the media's handled all of that. He's Joe Ferullo. You can find him on Twitter at Ironworker1. Joe Ferullo, everybody. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Mark. This is great. Congrats, pal. Continue good luck.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you for the love. Appreciate that. Well, this is it. I wanted to recognize a couple of... do I need to recognize a couple of listeners along the way? I think I do.
Yes.
Yeah. How about Susan? Susan, wow. That's an insane $99.99.
I think she hit an extra 9 there on accident.
Okay.
What happened, Susan?
Yeah. Wow. That's really impressive. Thank you.
Smashed it with your iron rod.
Julie, and believe Julie's in Southern California. Right on. Thanks for the Proud Boy Mommy. Proud Boy Mommy or Proud Boy Mommy?
No, not Proud Boys. She's a Proud Boy mom, you know.
Yeah, she is. It would be, the B is in small letter. I'm only kidding.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, Julie, you know how much I love you, and thank you for all the support, and thank you for all the love. I really appreciate it. Maria, $9.99 and a super sticker. Maria Curiel Ponce. Thank you, Maria. Appreciate that. And Linda Delaney, $8.10. I see what you did.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Jorge Rivera, $5 and a super sticker. Thank you, Jorge. Everybody's been really cool today. Thank you for all the support. Click the heart button to show us love. And by the way, if you're listening or watching the show back on YouTube, there is a heart with a $sign. If you press that, you can make a contribution. So even if you're watching the recorded show, so what you're hearing are people who have made a contribution during the show, but if you're listening or watching on YouTube, you'll see a heart with a $sign. That's how to do that. Anything else I'm forgetting? Oh, I wanted to mention there's a Twitter Spaces, which is an audio-only thing, and it's going down on Saturday. Nikki will be part of it. Chip Franklin will be part of it. I'll be part of it. And it's a roundtable with your KGO radio favorites hosted by Bryce Noble and Asia Hussein of WPKN in Bridgeport. So I'd encourage you to check it out. Again, it'll be Saturday. I'll mention it again. And you can watch for the Twitter Spaces on, I'll promote it on Nikki's Twitter probably, and Chip's, as I will. So Nikki's show is coming up next, as you know, on Nikki's channel, which is the Nikki Maduro show. I feel like I'm forgetting something, John. Am I forgetting anything at all?
To end the show.
Fabulous producer, John Daly.
How dare you? I'll end this show when I want to.
Bye-bye.
And I want to.
I'm Shadow Stevens for the Mark Johnson Show. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. And until next
All the time. Bye-bye.
Yes. Over to Nikki for more. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.